The Williams family reunion came around every 3 years, hosted at Uncle Robert's vast Connecticut estate. This year, 53 relatives filled the manicured lawn, laughing over barbecue, chasing toddlers, and swapping stories while kids darted between tables with sticky fingers and paper plates. I lingered at the edge of the seating area, balancing a plate of potato salad, trying to decide where I fit. As always, the family had sorted itself. The successful at the head table, the married with children crowd at the family tables, and the teenagers sprawled on blankets near the pool. My cousin Jessica waved me over. She was flanked by Brandon, Stephanie, and Tyler, the golden cousins, as I called them, all late 20s, all successful, all radiating the effortless ease of people who never had to wonder where they belonged. Grateful for the gesture, I walked over, but Jessica's smile sharpened as I reached the table. Actually, she said lightly, "You can't sit with us." I froze. What? Brandon chuckled without looking up from his phone. "We're having an adult conversation, investments, real estate, business." "Go sit with the kids," Stephanie added, gesturing at the teenagers with TikTok videos. "You'd probably fit in better there." Tyler smirked. "Didn't you ask Uncle Robert for career advice earlier?" That's high school guidance counselor energy. The four of them burst into laughter. Not cruel. Exactly, just the easy dismissal of people who believed they were helping me recognize my place. Heat rose in my neck. I stood there, plate in hand, while all around us conversations carried on about mortgages, promotions, and vacation homes, the world of real adults, a world I was apparently unqualified to join. "Okay," I murmured, "I'll find somewhere else." "Don't be dramatic," Jessica called after me. "We're just being honest. You'll be more comfortable with people on your level." I walked away and found refuge beneath the giant oak at the edge of the lawn. From there, I could see it all: Jessica's smug smile at the cousins' table, the parents wrangling toddlers, the teens glued to their phones, and me, alone under a tree, potato salad untouched, like a kid exiled to timeout. I picked at my food while their conversations drifted over: Brandon's latest crypto play, Stephanie's big promotion, Tyler's dilemma over which vacation home to buy. "Real problems," I muttered. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant: "Helicopter ETA 4:30, weather clear for island departure." I glanced at the time, 4:15. Perfect. I'd planned to stay all afternoon, maybe even help clean up, but why linger here, invisible, when I had better places to be? Much better. From under the oak, I spotted Jessica holding court, weaving her new Boston condo into yet another story, always with a sly jab about some people still figuring things out at 28. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd stopped figuring things out the day I sold my startup for $340 million at 23. The distant whir of rotor blades pulled my gaze skyward. A sleek black helicopter cut across the horizon, growing larger as it descended toward the estate. Conversations faltered, children pointed, adults shaded their eyes. "Is that?" someone called. "Why is there a helicopter?" Aunt Margaret's voice rang over the lawn. The chopper landed with a rush of wind, scattering napkins and forcing people to grip their plates. The pilot stepped out, crisp uniform immaculate, tablet in hand. His eyes scanned the crowd, then locked on me. "Miss Williams," he called, his voice carrying across the stunned silence. Dozens of heads whipped toward me. I rose slowly, brushing grass from my jeans and t-shirt. "That's me." The pilot strode forward. "Your island is ready, Miss Williams. Staff reports all preparations are complete. Weather ideal for departure." You could have heard a pin drop. 53 relatives stared like I'd grown wings. "Thank you, Captain Morrison." I glanced at the confirmation screen on my phone. "Flight plan looks perfect. How long to Paradise Key?" 45 minutes, ma'am. The yacht crew is waiting." I nodded. Jessica's mouth hung open. Brandon had dropped his phone. Stephanie and Tyler sat frozen, food forgotten. Uncle Robert stepped forward, struggling to process. "Maya, whose helicopter is this?" "It's mine," I said simply. "Yours?" "Well, technically Meridian Holdings owns it, but since I own Meridian Holdings," I shrugged, "it's mine." Aunt Margaret finally found her voice. "But darling, you work at that little tech company downtown." "Correction," I said, "I owned it, sold it 5 years ago." "For how much?" Uncle Robert asked, his voice thin. $340 million. Gasps, silence. "Plus equity stakes in 3 more companies," I added casually, "and a real estate portfolio, and some other investments." Jessica finally snapped her jaw shut. Maya, that's ridiculous. You drive a Honda Civic. I like my Civic, reliable. But, you live in a tiny apartment. I prefer cozy spaces. You begged Uncle Robert for career advice. I looked at Uncle Robert, whose face had gone pale, as though I'd just revealed I wasn't from Earth at all. I leaned casually against the table, fork still in hand. I've been looking at municipal bonds, thinking about putting some money into infrastructure projects. Brandon glanced up, half interested. Investing how much? He asked, almost mocking. 200 million to start, I said evenly. He choked on his drink. 200 million? The market fluctuates, I added with a shrug. Stephanie took a shaky step closer. Maya, if you really have that kind of money, why didn't you ever tell us? I met her eyes. When exactly should I have told you? When you told me I wasn't successful enough to sit with you? Or when you suggested I'd fit better with the kids? Her cheeks flamed red. Miss Williams, Captain Morrison's voice cut in politely as he checked his watch. We should depart soon if we want to stay on schedule. Of course, I turned back to my family, my tone casual. I should go. My island staff is expecting me. Tyler's voice cracked. Your island? Paradise Cay, I said. 37 acres in the Bahamas, bought it last year. It's where I go when I need a break from people. I started toward the helicopter, then paused, looking straight at Jessica. By the way, Jess, I heard you talking about your condo in Boston. That's exciting. Real estate's a smart play. Her lips parted in relief at the compliment. I smiled faintly. I should mention, I own that building, Beacon Hill Properties, one of my companies. Jessica went white. You've been a great tenant, though, I added lightly. Always pay rent on time. I appreciate that. Gasps rippled through the lawn. I turned back toward the helicopter. Wait. Dad's voice rose over the crowd. He pushed forward, face a mix of confusion and something like pride. Maya, honey, when did all this happen? Over the last 5 years, I said simply. I tried to tell you, but every time I mentioned my work, you brushed it off. You said I should focus on finding a stable job instead of wasting time on my computer hobby. His steps faltered. The words landed like a blow. Your hobby was worth 300 million? 340 million, I corrected gently, and that was just the sale. The company itself was worth far more by then. Mom appeared at his side, tears glinting. Maya, why didn't you make us listen? I studied them. Their love was real, but so was their disbelief in me. Because I wanted you to be proud of me for who I was, not just for the size of my bank account. We are proud of you, Mom whispered. Proud of me, or of my money? I asked softly. Her lips parted, but no answer came. Miss Williams, Captain Morrison reminded gently, it's time. I stepped into the helicopter. Through the window, I saw 53 relatives frozen on the lawn, staring at me as if I were rising into another world. In a way, I was. Ready for departure, ma'am? The captain asked. Ready. The rotors thundered to life. The estate shrank below, tables, chairs, cousins, and all. My phone buzzed endlessly in my hand, messages, missed calls, desperate attempts to reconnect from the very people who had laughed at me an hour ago. I powered it off and watched Connecticut vanish behind us, the Atlantic stretching out like freedom. 43 minutes later, Paradise Cay appeared, a private paradise of beaches, gardens, and my villa perched above the bay. My yacht, Meridian Dream, gleamed in the water, staff lined on the dock waiting to welcome me home. Beautiful approach, ma'am, Captain Morrison said as we descended. Your sunset dinner is ready on the terrace. Perfect, I replied. As the helicopter touched down, Marcus, my house manager, came forward with his warm, steady smile. Welcome home, Miss Maya. How was the family reunion? Educational, I said, stepping onto my island soil. Very educational. That evening, I sat on my terrace, the Caribbean sunset painting the sky in fire and gold, alone, at peace, exactly where I belonged. A glass of wine in one hand, my laptop open to investment reports. I finally powered my phone back on. 47 missed calls. 93 unread messages. All from family. I deleted them without looking. Well, almost all. I saved one voicemail. From Emma, my 8-year-old cousin who'd been sitting with the kids when the helicopter landed. Maya, that was the coolest thing ever. Can I ride in your helicopter sometime? I promise I won't throw up. I smiled and hit save. The next morning, a courier delivered a letter to my Manhattan office. Heavy envelope, embossed letterhead, Uncle Robert's law firm. It was an apology. Formal, polished, and full of flattery. Your remarkable achievements. Your impressive acumen. Your generous spirit. He repeated those phrases like a mantra. What he didn't mention was that his children had spent the reunion treating me like a second-class citizen. I dropped it into my interesting but irrelevant folder. 2 weeks later, Patricia buzzed my office. Jessica's on the line. Do you want to take it? What does she want? She says she needs to apologize for a misunderstanding at the reunion. A misunderstanding. I almost laughed. Put her through. Her voice came bright and nervous. Maya. I'm so glad you answered. I've been trying for weeks. I've been busy. Of course, running all those companies, managing all those investments. I had no idea you were so accomplished. I cut her off. What do you want, Jessica? Well, first, I want to apologize. We shouldn't have excluded you. It was just a misunderstanding? Yes. If we'd known who you really were, what you'd accomplished, we never would have treated you like that. I leaned back in my chair. So you're not sorry for being cruel. You're sorry for underestimating my bank account. No, that's not what I mean. Jessica, you judged me exactly according to your values. You decided I wasn't worth including because you thought I wasn't successful. Now that you know I am, suddenly I qualify. Maya, that's not fair. What's not fair, I said evenly, is being sent to sit with the children because I didn't meet your definition of success. She faltered. We were wrong. Completely wrong. Yes. But not for the reasons you think. You were wrong because you treated a family member badly, full stop. Money should have nothing to do with it. Silence. Then, softly, you're right. But here's the thing, if I'd told you at that table I was worth $500 million, you'd have cleared a seat instantly. Hung on my every word. Laughed at every joke. Probably, she admitted. So this apology isn't about kindness. It's about networking. The line went still. Maya, please, I really am sorry. Not because of your money. Because I hurt you. Are you? Or are you sorry because your rent just went up 20% and your landlord happens to be the cousin you mocked? A sharp inhale. How did you? I approved the adjustment. Your building was undervalued. Beacon Hill runs at market rate now. You can't punish me for what happened. I'm not punishing you. I'm running a business. You're still paying less than average for the neighborhood. But, we're family. Yes. And when I needed family, you told me to sit with the kids. Her voice shrank. What can I do to make it right? I turned to the window, the Manhattan skyline glittering back. 12 of those towers were properties I either owned outright or had a stake in. Her building was just a line item. Nothing, I said. Because the problem isn't what you did, it's who you are. And who you are is someone who calculates human worth by net worth. That's not true. It's completely true. And that's your choice. But it's mine not to keep people like that in my life. Maya, please, we're family. Family doesn't charge admission by status, I said, and hung up. 6 months later, Tyler's wedding invitation arrived, complete with a handwritten note. Maya, I know things have been distant since the reunion, but you're family. We'd love to have you there. Maybe we can chat about investments if you have time. I sent a crystal vase from Tiffany's. With it, a polite decline citing a scheduling conflict. The conflict was a massage appointment on my island. A year after the helicopter, Mom called. Sweetheart, the family's decided to stop doing reunions. Why? I asked, though I already knew. Well, things have been awkward. People don't know how to act around you anymore. How to act around me, or how to act around themselves. She sighed. Both. They feel guilty, but also, intimidated. Intimidated by money? By your success. They don't know how to relate. I almost laughed. At that reunion, I wasn't invited to sit with the adults because I wasn't successful enough. Now you're telling me I'm too successful to sit with them. Either way, I'm excluded. Mom's voice softened. You're right. I see that. The problem isn't my money. The problem is this family only knows how to connect based on perceived status. That's why it fractured. Silence. Then, Maya, do you think you'll ever forgive us? I already have, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean going back to being diminished just to belong. Even she couldn't argue with that. 2 years later, a letter arrived. Not from an adult, but from Emma. 10 years old now, her words written in careful cursive on lined paper. Dear Maya, Mom says you're really rich and successful, but you're still nice to me. I'm starting a lemonade stand. Do you have any advice? Also, do you still have that helicopter? I don't throw up anymore. I wrote back immediately. I gave her real business advice, on pricing, customer service, location. I included a photo of the helicopter and a promise, when she turned 16, she could ride in it. A month later, Emma mailed me a profit report from her summer lemonade stand. Charts. Graphs. Net profit, $247. I had it framed. It hangs in my office between my first stock certificate and the photo from the day I rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. Some bonds, I realized, survive anything, even helicopters. The rest aren't worth saving. Like and subscribe for more powerful stories.